Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to 11's Dirt Life. Real quick video for you today. We're going to talk about the KC Flex Era 1 and kind of get more specific into how to swap out the lenses in this light. One of the great features of this light is it has interchangeable lenses that come in the kit, so 3 interchangeable lenses. I'll talk about a couple of the other features of the light and kind of why we're switching the lens and what lens we are deciding to run on this. So we were previously running the KC Flex Dual, so that was the original version of the Flex series. They've now come out with Flex Era, which is the newer version of the Flex series. This is the Flex Era 1. We had the Flex Duals before. We've upgraded and updated to the latest and greatest. So we've put the Flex Era 1 back here. And you can see I've got this one already swapped out and configured exactly how we want it. And we're going to switch the lens on this one. So some of the cool features of these particular lights are it's a dual switch light, which means it has a one of the switches can be operated as just the white, bright, normal light that you would expect out of a light, and then a secondary switch that can be operated as just an amber backlight. So nighttime, low lighting settings, you can just have the light as an amber backlight in the lens there, which is really cool. So 2-switch light. You can also set it up for single switch, which means you can just run one of those lights if you would prefer. Most likely we'd just be running the bright white light there. If you don't want to run the backlight amber, you don't have to occupy 2 switches, or it comes with its own switch system, so you can switch a dual stage switch, which you can install anywhere in your vehicle. So you can see here it's got the, you can see here I've got the 1, the off, and then the 2. So depending on what you want to do, you can set that up. That way you can hook it up to your S-Pod like most other people do, or wire however you prefer. So what we've done, or what we're doing here, is we're going to switch out lenses for the particular application that we like to use these lights for. The lenses that come with the lights are your standard. So it comes, mine came configured with the spread pattern, which is the kind of combo pattern. It's the middle of the 3, and I'll go over that in just a second. You've also got, so that spread, let's just go through one individually. So you've got your spot, which is just going to be a clear lens. It's going to send out the longest and the straightest and the narrowest pattern. So that would be good in the front of the vehicle, in my opinion. Mine came installed with the spread, which is kind of your middle pattern. It's going to be a combination of spot and flood. So that's going to give you some distance and some width. And then you've got the flood, which is going to be, so the spread is going to be your vertical lines lens. And then your flood is going to be, which looks like the little dimples lens, is going to be the flood. So the flood is going to be closest, and it's going to be the biggest spread pattern. I like that for a reverse light or a backup light. For multiple reasons. So for me, I use these as a backup light. I'll flip those on when it's really dark and I can't see. The JL tail lights, reverse lights are non-existent, especially since I have the smoked out lights there. So I really have no light in the back. So this is really nice to have that big flood pattern. And I like to run the amber covers on them because in California where we wheel, a lot of times we get a lot of dust on the trails. So when you're in the middle of a group of people, large group of vehicles, and you got a lot of dust going on, sometimes it's hard to see where that vehicle in front of you is. And I want those people behind me, if they are not familiar with the trail, to be able to follow my Jeep. And so that way with the amber on, they can see where I'm at. It cuts through the dust, and I'm not blinding them with a spot beam that's going straight into their eyes. This is going to be a less harsh light, and it's going to be spread more, and so during the daytime it's something that's not going to be really like blinding a vehicle, or same with nighttime as well. So we're going to run those with the covers. The lights come with a cool, nice little black cover, so if you want to just cover them out, you can also order a clear cover for these as well. So you've got your amber cover, your clear cover, or your just standard black KC cover. Another cool thing about, or feature about these lights before we get into actually swapping the lens, is they're really modular. You can mount them any direction you want to mount them, upside down, sideways, whatever suits your needs. You can really make this light work. It comes with this bracket you can see here that's attached. It's like a little bit of an L bracket on the outside, and then you can mount it however you'd like. So we've run the wires through the back of the tailgate here. There's the vent there, and then it's into the cab along the tailgate, and then we'll run it along a floorboard and either hook it up to an S-Pod, or I think what I'm gonna do with this one is actually hook it up to KC switch and just have that switch down by my thumb, where the shifter is, so that I can do the backup lights when I'm going in reverse, kind of at the same time I can hit the lights as well. So that's kind of the thought on what we're gonna do with these. But let's go ahead and switch out the lens. I'll show you how that works, and we'll talk about a couple other things you can change on these lights, which is really cool. I've already done this one. I got this one set up so we can do it in the interest of time for the video. Essentially, it's 4 Allen screws that hold it on, button head screws here, or not button heads, but just Allen head screws. We're going to take those off, and we're going to carefully, have our finger on everything on so nothing falls off. We've got, as you can see, just like this. The cover pops out really nice and easy. If you have any problems with it, just kind of get your fingernail behind there and get it to pop out. And then you've got your lens holder, bezel holder, and then the bezel itself. So let's talk about the bezel since we have it out. This comes in the KC Gold. You can see, as you saw, as it was mounted, it's really nice. It's keyed so it only goes on, you know, like a certain area, and then it looks really nice with the KC Gold. If gold's not your thing, or you have other color scheme in mind, you can also buy these in black, which would be universal for anybody, or you can buy them in anodized blue or anodized red. So that's 3 options right there you can get directly from KC. In my case, I'm probably gonna sand these down and paint them gray to match the Jeep a little bit, but if black, blue, red, or gold fits your color scheme, then you already have something ready to go with KC. So let's now switch out the lens and show you how easy that is. And all this stuff is really thought out, and I'm gonna explain why here. They're basically keyed into which direction they need to go on to the housing there, which is really cool. So not sure if you can see here, but there's we've got notches or tabs sticking off and then an arrow. And so we line those notches or tabs and arrow with the housing itself so we know which way it orients properly. And that really comes in handy for something like the spread pattern, which is a vertical. They had it mounted vertically when it came in. So if you had it, you could mount it probably horizontally. The pattern might change. I'm not like a light expert on that, and I don't know exactly how that works, but the way that they have it set up is you would have that a vertical lineup. And so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make sure we line these up, and I'm pretty sure this is very much the same no matter which way we mount it, but it is nice to have it keyed so it slots in really nice. There's also an O-ring inside of here which keeps water and moisture from getting into the lens housing and things like that. The kit comes with an additional set of O-rings, so if you damage or tear an O-ring or have issues with any sort of like moisture getting in there, I'd probably just pop the O-ring out and put a new one in. And then like I said, so what we're going to do here is get this ready so that when we get it locked and loaded, it just pops all right on. So let's get this keyed in the way that it needs to go, which is just like that. Put this face down. We're going to get our lens. Let me grab the camera real quick and I'll show you what I mean up close on the lens here. So you can see you've got the notches. So notch, and then you can faintly see the arrow here. And so then we've got the arrow. So we'll orient that in the proper way, and then we'll have the light set up how it needs to be. And then the lens sits in flush where it needs to be. If you tried to put one of these tabs on the wrong spot, you'd have a hard time getting, I think, the lens down. So something to look out for, and also something really cool that they thought of in designing the light. A lot of, I get to see some behind the scenes stuff in this and talk to them about when these lights are coming out. So there's a lot more going on than let's just release a light type of thing. There's a lot of thought in these lights and purpose, and how are you guys using these lights and what's going on? What would you like to see? So a lot of that stuff is really integrated into all of the new features on the lights, which is really cool. So we got the lens popped on. We'll get our cover here and pop that like that. And then we just suck down the screws. So this is really neat in the fact that, I was talking this whole time, so I really drug out how long this takes, but you can switch out a lens on the trail depending on conditions, right? So you can have this mounted somewhere where maybe sometimes you want it to be a spot. So you have your spot lens in, and you go out and conditions for what you're doing or where you're wheeling or just where you're at, determine that you need to switch out that lens, and you can do that. So I always keep, with all my other lights, I always keep like different covers based on what I'm trying to do. I have Flex Era 4s on the front of my Jeep. I have the spot and the combo pattern, so I can switch those out for what I need to do there, depending on what we're doing, what kind of wheeling we're doing, where we're going. And same goes with this one as well. So we would just suck down these 4 screws, and we're done. We're good to go. So let me grab the box here and kind of show you a couple other things. Just read some of the specs off the box for you for those of you that are interested in the light itself. Like I said, Flex Era 1, super modular. You can see here, we've got the spot beam as the distance. I think you can see all this. Hopefully you can see all this. The spread beam is going to be your intermediate, and then your flood beam is going to be your bright beam. You've got 2430 lumens, so 2430 lumens. And then that's the white, and then the amber's 446. Your wattage is 23 and 5, and then, everything I already talked about with the covers and all that good stuff. So very cool packaging. KC's really good with all this kind of stuff. Really cool light setup. I'm just always really happy with everything we've run with them, and that's why we've stuck with them for so long. So thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions on this light or any other KC products, please feel free to reach out. Highly recommend adding a set of these to your rig if you don't have them already. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.